No one noticed the work because real work doesn't ask to be seen. It happens quietly in routines. No one applauds decisions, no one celebrates, and standards no one enforces except you. I learned that early, when effort felt invisible and progress felt slow. But instead of asking for attention, I doubled down on discipline because discipline works. Whether anyone is watching or not, I stopped measuring days by praise and started measuring them by execution, because execution leaves evidence, and evidence builds confidence, the kind that doesn't need reassurance. I worked through boredom, stayed consistent through doubt, and kept my standards high when lowering them would have gone unnoticed, because the unseen phase is where character is revealed, not when things are hard, but when quitting would cost nothing. I learned to control my reactions because reacting wastes energy, and energy is better invested in building something solid, while others explained their plans. I stayed quiet and refined my systems, while others chased motivation. I relied on routine, while others needed approval. I needed proof, and proof comes from repetition, done long enough to change identity. I didn't rush results because rushing exposes insecurity, and I didn't announce progress because announcements invite distraction. I protected my focus like it was non-negotiable, because focus turns effort into inevitability, and inevitability doesn't need noise. As days stacked, so did certainty, not loud confidence, but quiet assurance rooted in self-trust, the kind that comes from knowing. You showed up when no one was watching and kept going when stopping would have been easier. I realized that most people want recognition more than results, and that desire keeps them stuck, chasing attention instead of building ability. So I chose ability. I chose structure over chaos, patience over impulse, and consistency over intensity. Because intensity fades, but consistency compounds silently. I stayed grounded when nothing seemed to change because I understood that roots grow before branches, and the deeper the roots, the higher the growth without collapse. And when the work finally surfaced, it didn't arrive loudly. It arrived undeniably, settling conversations I never needed to have. Because results don't argue, they don't explain, and they don't seek permission. They stand and shift the room quietly. And if you're in that phase right now, working without witnesses, misunderstood and tempted to speak, remember this: the silence you're in isn't empty, it's full of preparation. Every disciplined day is shaping an outcome you won't need to justify later. So keep building, keep refining, and let time reveal what consistency has already decided, because no one needs to notice the work for it to count. It only needs to be done. And if this message resonates, subscribe now to Silent Alpha and stay ready, because the next message will meet you exactly where you are. And as the days blended together, the silence stopped feeling lonely and started feeling strategic, because when no one is watching, there is no pressure to perform, only a responsibility to execute. And that responsibility sharpened everything I touched. I learned to trust systems over moods, because moods fluctuate, but systems compound. And every time I followed the system, I reinforced an identity that didn't need motivation to move. I stopped reacting to delays, because delays are part of building anything real, and impatience only reveals insecurity. I stayed steady when progress felt invisible, because invisible progress is still progress, and quitting is the only action that guarantees failure. I became ruthless with distractions, not out of fear, but out of respect for what I was building, because focus is fragile early and must be protected from noise comparison and premature exposure. I noticed how most people confuse being busy with being effective, and how that confusion keeps them exhausted without results. So I simplified, reduced, and repeated the basics until execution became automatic. I didn't seek confidence, I earned it by keeping promises to myself under pressure, when boredom hit, when doubt whispered, and when comfort tempted me to slow down. I chose discipline anyway, and each choice stacked proof that I could rely on myself. Proof that standards matter more than feelings, and proof that consistency beats intensity. Every time I learned that silence reveals patterns, you see where time leaks, where habits slip, and where effort weakens, and that awareness allowed adjustment without drama. I stayed calm under setbacks, extracted the lesson, and returned to work. Because emotion wastes energy, and energy is better spent refining the process. I stopped explaining my absence because explanations invite debate, and debate steals momentum. So I let time handle the conversation as the gap widened between who I was and who I used to be. I felt no urgency to announce it, because the work had already changed me internally, and internal change makes external change inevitable. This phase taught me that being unnoticed is an advantage. It gives you room to grow without interference, room to fail without judgment, and room to build something solid before exposure. And when results began to surface, they felt normal to me, because I had lived with the standard long before the outcome arrived. And that's the power of work done in silence. It prepares you for success before success shows up. And if you're still here, still consistent, still unseen, remember this: the lack of attention is not a sign you're behind. It's proof you're building without distraction. And that is exactly how lasting results are made. And when the results finally surfaced, they didn't feel sudden to me, because I had already lived inside the discipline that created them long before anyone else could see it. And that is the quiet advantage of work done without witnesses. It changes you internally. First, so the external shift feels inevitable, not lucky. I didn't feel the need to announce progress or explain the journey, because explanations are for people who need permission, and I no longer needed that. My confidence wasn't loud, it was settled, built on evidence stacked day after day when no one was watching. I noticed how the same silence that once made me invisible now made me unreadable, and unreadable became strength, because predictability is a weakness, and I had learned to move with calm precision, choosing restraint over reaction, patience over impulse, and consistency over intensity, because intensity burns out, while consistency compounds. I became selective with my words, because most conversations drain focus, and selective with my energy, because not everything deserves access. And that selectivity protected momentum, which protected outcomes. I stopped fearing delays because delays refine structure, and I stopped chasing validation because validation distracts from execution. I understood that peace is the reward of discipline, when you know you honored your standards regardless of outcome. There is nothing left to fear, not opinions, not timelines, and not uncertainty. I didn't rush success because speed without structure collapses, and I didn't relax standards because standards without consistency erode. I stayed balanced, deliberate, and grounded, letting time reveal what discipline had already decided internally, and when others finally noticed the change, I didn't respond, because responses invite debate, and debate wastes energy. Results end conversations completely. And if you're on this path right now, working quietly, staying consistent, and wondering if it's counting, understand this: it is counting more than you think. The work you're doing in silence is shaping a version of you that won't need to explain anything later. Because when consistency compounds long enough, the results introduce themselves without a word being spoken. And even after the results became visible, I didn't change how I moved, because the habits that built everything were still the habits that protected it. I understood that success doesn't excuse discipline. It demands more of it, because what rises fast can fall faster if structure is abandoned. So I stayed anchored to routine, even when I could afford not to, because comfort is the real test of character, not struggle. I didn't let attention soften my standards or praise distort my focus, because praise inflates ego, and ego invites mistakes. I stayed intentional with my days, choosing structure over spontaneity and consistency over excitement, because excitement fades, but structure sustains when motivation disappears. I learned that growth is maintenance, not arrival. The responsibility to keep showing up, refining and honoring commitments, even when there's no urgency forcing you to act. I became more selective with my environment, because environment shapes behavior, and behavior shapes outcomes. And I wasn't willing to risk what discipline had built by allowing distractions back in. I watched others lose momentum once recognition arrived, because they built for validation instead of foundation, and that confirmed everything. I believed the work must always come before the noise, and the system must always come before the spotlight. I measured progress internally by how consistently I honored my standards, not by how others reacted to my position, and that internal measure kept me grounded, regardless of external shifts. Silence became strategy, not avoidance, timing, not fear and restraint, not weakness, because knowing when not to speak is as powerful as knowing when to act, and that awareness preserved everything I had built. If you're listening to this and you've reached a phase where results are visible, but discipline feels optional, remember, this discipline is never optional. It's the price of staying who you became. Keep choosing consistency when no one is watching. Keep protecting focus when distractions multiply, and keep honoring the quiet work that shaped you, because no one noticing the work was never a disadvantage. It was the advantage that made everything last.